There we go. Now we're recording. Yeah, it's already 2 MB. It's been like a second. um, so it's kind of confusing. They have models or items, which would be your iPhones. Well, I guess more specifically, iPhone 5 would be an item. Um, there's multiple models of the iPhone 5. You've got your 16 gig black, your 16 gig white, 32 black, white, blah, blah, blah. Sprint, Verizon, all sorts of different variations. Um, each model has a price, and the only reason that there are different prices are they're going to create these price books that can be switched. So this month the iPhone 5 is $200, but next month we only want to give people $190 for the iPhone 5. So they set up all of this data, but then instead of going through and manually changing all the prices, they just switch which price book is active, and it automatically changes the prices. Um,
Okay. So they can just change the ID of whichever book they want to use.
exactly, yeah. So we've got like an active price book. And they said again, I tried setting all of this stuff up through the admin to give them access to be able to do this, and they didn't. They were confused, and so we just told them, look, we'll scrap this, and you take care of it. So they said that they're going to manage all of this, and that this shouldn't really be something of our concern.
All right. That scares me, but okay.
Yep. Yeah, I don't like them having MySQL access in the first place, but they want it. They say they can do it. Not the most organized folks, so but it's less on our shoulders. Oh,
So what's a line then?
um. All right, hold on. This will be part of your wonderful screen share or screencast. I need to pick lunch.
Lunch. Or
I've never had Sunny Street Cafe. Have you?
just one time. I think we tried to do it for a workshop, and it was crazy expensive.
Yeah, that's what they're ordering it for. Is a workshop. I'm not sure what Brad's doing right now.
Yeah, like 10 to 12 bucks for like a burrito wrap or something.
Jeez.
Much better website than they used to have. Good for them.
Menu. And get a good old breakfast. Handheld breakfast.
Yeah, so they're gonna
What?
list.
Ooh, doing this. Uh,
You ever tried Sparrow as a mail client?
I have. I actually really liked it.
Yeah, you like the new Apple Mail a little bit better though.
Yeah, just it's part of. I know it's their goal is to um, encapsulate you into their ecosystem of Apple stuff, but
Yeah,
it just works so well. You know, having an iPad, iPhone, Mac, like
yeah.
using all of their stuff, it's all in sync and pretty and great. Well, and the fact that Sparrow got bought means that Sparrow is kind of done.
Yeah, I like the Gmail. I guess that's why I like it the most is the Gmail interaction, labels.
All right, now that the important things are done. So yes, orders and lines. So you the basic simple thing is that you place one order, but you might have a bunch of different models that you. Well, you call it order. I guess submission is probably the more appropriate word because you're not ordering anything. You're sending them something, but
Sure.
you're placing one order, and you might be sending them a BlackBerry, an iPhone, and a Droid.
Sure.
So each of those models that you're saying that you're going to send them all have SKU numbers, which specifically are uniquely identify the model and price. So I think prices are what contain SKUs. Yes. It's not the actual models because the prices of the certain model can change. Just like I said, iPhone 5 is $200 this month. It's $180 next month. Those different prices will have different SKUs, and I didn't flag anything as unique for those, but those SKUs should be unique because they will specifically identify that price for that model. So a line is the line of that order. The SKU, the different SKUs of that order. So if I'm going to send them 5 iPhone 5s and 3 Droids and 2 Blackberries, my one order will have 3 lines of the SKU of the iPhone 5 with 5 as my quantity, and then don't know if the price will be the price. It's probably going to be the quantified price. So if it's $50 per iPhone, it's going to be $250 here, not 50. But don't take my word on that, and that should not be in it. What? Okay. Where was it going? Yeah. So your orders have got multiple lines. Does that kind of make sense?
Kind of. I guess the pricing is where you lost me. Pricing with a line.
Yeah. It's just think of if you saw a receipt, um, your receipt is the order, and each thing that you purchase on that receipt is your line.
A line item.
Yeah, and so I had like 5 beers and 2 dinners and whatever. Each of those lines, my 5 beers. So I've got my quantity would be 5, SKU would be beers, and price would be $15 or something. And it's the same with the phones. It's I've got 3 iPhones or 3 items that are uniquely identified iPhones of SKU ABCD, and then the total price of that SKU, which is found in your prices. And this is a prices is per unit. So you do a calculation of per unit, and throw that into the price.
So if I'm submitting you 5 iPhone 5, 16 gigabyte black ones, they will have different SKUs, right?
The five iPhone 5s will not have different SKUs. If they're all the exact same configuration, if they're all 16 gig black Verizon iPhones, they will all have the exact same SKU.
Okay.
If they are different iPhones, they will have different SKUs.
Sure. And the price, one more time, with that line?
On the line, the price will be
Unique.
the price will be the SKUs per item or per unit price multiplied by the quantity.
Okay.
So if it's $50, if this month it's $50 per 16 gig black Verizon iPhone, and I do 3, then it's this number here should be $150.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm with you.
That way, what then they'll be able to do is to go through here and click on orders. I'm just gonna use portals because orders doesn't exist yet. Excuse me, and see, what should they see? Let me see orders. They'll see an order. They'll see state or address, and then maybe a thing here that says lines, total price, something. And then they'll be able to go through here and be like, all right, I want to see SKU ASDF, or I want to see things that were sent to Ryan Nystrom, and it should filter it down to those things. And then I don't think remember if there are any exports or anything like that. Um, Again, they're handling a lot of the database stuff themselves, so there shouldn't be a need to have any advanced functionality. I think they just want to be able to quickly browse order submissions.
Yeah. Okay. Show me how to get things out of the post variable when they're sent in.
Oh yeah, that is a great question. I definitely should cover that. The account. No, that's not a good one. I put in some helper methods that break model view controller standards, so I have to apologize. I'm gonna find a better one. See this right here. This is so bad of me. I can't believe I did this. It's portal populate posts and a portal thing. Actually, I deleted it because I was so mad. I had in here in the model that I was getting the post data and setting up and saving and everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, Ryan, that is so bad. That is not how you're supposed to do it. Where's a better, clean way? Here. Cool. So this method, this edits a model. So if we need to change something, again, this is all functionality that is there, but it's just masked from any users. So we'll kind of run through this. This would assume I'm going to a URL model edit / a number. That's going to be ID. With data mapper, you can instantiate an object and pass in an ID, and then that'll skip. Basically, what that is doing is model where ID get. But instead of writing all of that out, we can just do that little blurb.
Oh, wow, okay.
Cleans things.
The first letter's capitalized?
On right here?
Model. Yeah.
Yeah. That's in line with here.
Oh, okay.
So our next line here, we're just looking at if we don't have an ID or we don't have a model, then they shouldn't be there. They're at some place that they shouldn't be, so we redirect them back to just items. And that would be www.myurl.com/items. That's what redirect is, a CodeIgniter built-in function.
Nice.
Actually, and I would definitely, on their documentation, you can see all of their, in the helper over here, there is a URL helper. It'll show you. You can access the site URL, the base URL, current URL, URI string, blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
This site URL I use all the time. So if I wanted to go to, that will return, I'll do like that. That would return www.myurl.com/items. That'll return that string. That method will.
I can see that being real helpful.
Oh yeah. So I use this thing right here. You'll see this all the time in my views.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a URL, I like to do absolute URLs. That's just my thing. Instead of, because say your environment changes and all of a sudden you're hosted on www.myurl.com/buyback when you were previously on this. Well, if you were just referencing everything by /items or just items, and now you're on this URL, well, everything's gone to hell. So that's why I try and use the site URL thing. Okay, back to this. So this is a custom method, get current price, which does this. Finds current time, finds the price. This is all some price book nonsense that still is relevant because they'll have the way they define these prices. Whatever is the active price, you have a start and an end date. So whatever price is in between, that's nothing too fancy. This is part of the book, finding a price book. So the meat of what we wanted to talk about is getting post data. So the input library, this is part of CodeIgniter. There's input post, there's this input, you've got post, get, put, delete, just like your standard CRUD methods for HTTP. Accessing data, one of these parameters, is as simple as this. And that is, actually, let's go, we can actually play with this. Go to login here. So if we've got post data, I want my username, I want my password, and I want my remember me thing. So let's look at what is actually stored in this. And you can get a sense of what's going on here. That's it. That's all that little post thing is.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have this. So if it's a post, so if we have post data, do that. Otherwise, don't. So what this does is, if we don't have any post data, just goes down to here. Just build a template. We don't need to worry about any of this. But if we do, try and authorize, try and log in, all that jazz.
Yeah. Got to lay out.
Yep. Yeah. I did some funky layout stuff here so that we don't have any sidebars when you're actually logging in. Just clean. Oops.
Oh yeah.
And I don't really use, because you can access IDs and variables in the function parameters, I'd really never use get, because really if you need get parameters, they should be here. Unless you need to do some, I don't know, external URI string stuff, but that shouldn't be necessary.
So is there there is a checkout view you've already created?
Yes, it's based off of Tony's designs, which is this.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. I haven't seen the HTML. I've only seen the PSD. I think it's only in the Dropbox.
This is, how big is our QuickTime file? Curious. Up to 2 gigs. I'll toss it into Handbrake and compress it. I'll compress the shit out of it. The actual cart or checkout is in views, cart, and I broke it up into 2 bits just because it was a lot of HTML because this form is huge.
Yeah.
So the form is in checkout form.
And you include that in the checkout?
Yeah, and I did this. This is how it should be.
This load view cart checkout form. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This load view, that's standard CodeIgniter stuff. That's how CodeIgniter usually does views. The template thing overrides some of this, but I basically just said I want to just load this view. I don't want to do anything fancy. We don't need to send any data to this. Just load the view. So that way I can kind of externalize some of this stuff, and that because this thing would look gigantic. Plus, we're doing some PHP to show stuff that's in our cart, our shopping cart. It would have just gotten huge.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of the shopping cart, that's another. This is standard. Excuse me, CodeIgniter library. All the information's here on how to use it. The only thing that really should have to change with the shopping cart is the view, probably, because it looks hideous right now. because there weren't any mock-ups for it, and I just whipped it together. Yeah, there's something in there. And this all works. Price is here. Delete it. See a picture that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The cart library just contains here this cart contents, and it stores. I'll show you this. Oops. That's it. This is a unique key for the cart library. Don't have to worry about this or this. Same thing. The ID of our model that is stored in the cart, the quantity, the price per unit. Oh, cool. I didn't know it did that. And then the name. And so what I do with that data is I go through and actually load all of the different models that are stored with that ID. So, and this is another helper. Not a helper. This is a model function, get for cart, written here. So I'm just trying to get stuff for that cart. I want to get the item. So basically, the model that I would get here would be like 16 gig black. So I need to include the item so I know it's an iPhone 5, and then I need to get the current price that's active now.
Okay.
So this does all of that. Make sure it exists, and we're getting quantities, the ID, row ID, which I just store for reference, this thing. So I can relate the actual data mapper model to our cart contents. And yeah, and then I just build this array of models. You know, this is actually something I should mention too with data mapper. Changing variables, changing and saving stuff. Controller that has edit. A better edit. I'll write this myself. I can't find anything. So if we had a portal and we get this portal that meets all of these criteria, and we want to change the portal's name from test, or we want to change the title from test to Ryan. It's really simple. We just do portal title equals Ryan. Portal, save, done.
Okay.
And that's that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's really simple. So you know, usually I'll do what I'll have is this input post username or
Right.
title,
Right.
and that's all over the place. Well, even for the shopping cart, should be in here for updating quantities. Right. Input post.
Yep.
Well, that deals with the shopping cart, so it's a little bit different, but same jazz.
So the difference between update and save, update you just have to have an existing cart, like in this case.
No, actually, update is a shopping cart specific function. That's part of their shopping cart library. So you can insert items, or if you need to, updating the cart, all this stuff.
But everywhere else outside of the card, you would use save
Yeah,
after you
for
save.
anything that needs to do with the database, if you're inserting or updating, it would always be save. So if you need to, like creating a new portal equals new portal, portal title equals Ryan, portal slug equals Ryan slug, whatever. Portal save, and that'll insert a new object. And also what's cool with the save function is it returns a boolean based on if there was an error. So if it didn't save, we could echo portal error string, and that'll tell us what's wrong. The data mapper's also got a bunch of stuff that supports validation. You can do valid email or slug is required and all that stuff. I haven't really done any of that because the data requirements of this site are too simple for me to clunk it up with validation, so I've avoided doing that for the most part.
Okay.
There are probably some instances where I'm lying. User ID is required. What else? So going for some validation things. Slug is required for portal because it's not going to exist if there's no portal or there's no slug. Price needs to be decimal. That's about it.
So the documentation for all this database, who did the architecture? Was it them or was it Brad or you?
They did most of it, and then I tweaked it to our needs. And that's what I was trying to find earlier. There is a PDF that outlines their basic needs,
Okay.
and then I expanded upon that.
Yeah, you could find that.
Yeah, I really should have it. I'm not sure.
Just so I know, like, what kind of they have to have.
Right. No, definitely.
If you can't find it now, that's fine.
Oh yeah, let me search this again because I know I've got it.
And you'll also get me you'll upload the most recent database.
Yeah.
Once you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and fix that. If you'd like to, I don't know what your time is like. I could run through a quick example of that orders controller is not even there. We could do a quick beginning of it.
Okay. Yeah, I got about 10 minutes.
Okay, that's plenty of time. So what we're looking to set up. Oh shit! Make sure I get rid of that. All right. What we're gonna set up is this. We want that. So we need an orders controller, and I have this blank in here. It's just a template.
Nice.
Basically. So controllers we need.
What's that very first line? If there's no base path.
That's always in CodeIgniter controller files.
Okay.
I actually really don't even know why. I just include it.
Sure. Okay.
It's plural, right? Yes. And that's just documentation stuff. It doesn't really matter. We don't need to add or edit or delete orders. We just need things. So this is set up. Set active link. This variable right here, the set active link, corresponds with the name of this, and so this will set the highlighted. And actually, it looks like it's set up. So, oh no, we gotta set up a view. That's what's complaining about right now. Let's see. Go to our site. views admin. So create a new folder that's orders, and we need an index view.
Is it just me, or does Sublime not auto refresh the
It doesn't.
project on the left side?
Doesn't. And it drives me
Yeah, I was
nuts.
looking for that. Yeah, it looks like people were complaining about that. Like, what?
Admin orders index. Cool. So that's highlighted.
Admin order.
That's there.
Okay, so you had to do admin orders index because you didn't change anything in the routes to point to that.
No, this is for building our views. So it's looking in. It assumes views, which it always will. Never want to have a view outside of the views folder. It's looking in admin orders and then index, and then you omit the PHP. I'm actually not sure. Does it work with PHP? It's just good practice not to use it, but yeah, it still works. So we want to get all orders. So we're going to do order equals new order, and I'm not going to do anything special. I'm just going to get them all. Okay. And to pass the data, we're creating orders. I'm going to rename this just because it should be plural. And nothing should happen. Yeah. So I'm going to go and copy some table stuff from partials. Portals. And I'll show you how simple it is to do this data table stuff. So this is the only thing that's essential to actually make a jQuery data table is to put this class on a table.
Okay.
The rest of these are Twitter Bootstrap things.
Yep.
Have you used Twitter Bootstrap?
Yep.
Awesome. That will save. I think that thing saves so much time. I'm trying to get Tony. All right, I tried to get Tony to learn it, but he's very confused. Man. It's so great though.
Yeah, I mean, when Tony started, he didn't even use any grid system.
Yeah.
So we gotta take it one step further.
Yeah. What'll I show? I'll just show the ID and title and zip. Sure. So our table header, and I'm going to get rid of all this jazz. Oops. So PHP for each orders as order and for each.
Can you show me again how that orders was passed in?
Yeah.
To the view. Okay.
The build takes two parameters. The first is the path to the actual view file, and the second, even if it's just one item, it's always set up as an array, and the key of the array points to the data, but whatever you name the key will be the name of the variable here. That's what I was telling Brad. I don't understand how PHP does that. I don't really care to understand, but it's weird. It's really, really weird, but it works. I'm sure there's some PHP function in there that just sets up orders, but you know, that's whatever. Okay, so we've got all of our orders, so we're in a for loop of each order, and each order here inside, what's cool is these are both data mapper objects, but when we do a for each, we are able to get sub data mapper objects. So these are going to represent each table or each cell. So we're going to do just simple echo order ID title, and zip. I think that's the names. Yeah, and let's just throw in some content here. Oh, don't tell me I have foreign keys. Good. Yeah. Enabled. One title is test order. Don't care, don't care, don't care. 43230. And what was the other thing I did? Oh, that's it. Okay. So fingers crossed. Bam.
Yeah.
And then all this stuff works.
Okay, so that automatically gets thrown out there through the jQuery.
Yep. Yeah, that's set up, and it's set up to do the styles and stuff. I guess as far as folder structure goes, I should make sure I mention this. Application, this is all your CodeIgniter stuff. Assets, this is going to contain, this is all of our cached JavaScript and CSS. It's minified, or I think I turned off minification because it was driving my browser crazy. This is our cached JavaScript and CSS, all combined. But then the individual files, I'm overriding some of the styles. This does the styles of our tables here. No, not files. JavaScript. Admin data tables. This is some custom stuff to make the data tables plugin. I think it's jQuery data table. To make it look like Twitter Bootstrap. There's docs on this. Plenty of stuff. But that shouldn't, I don't think anything with this needs to change. This just does some custom stuff to make it look like Twitter Bootstrap, and then the actual creation of the data tables is just this little bit. So anything with class data table on it that is a table, it's going to turn into this. And so one of the things I had to do was with the cart. I didn't want that data table. So, you know, it's still the same table, but I just didn't add that data table class, and everything's fine here. But if we wanted, for some reason, which I don't think we really should, but if we wanted to turn it into a data table, it should just be as simple as throwing that class in there. I'm not even going to walk through that because that's pretty easy.
Cool, yeah, that didn't look too terribly bad.
No, and if, you know, we need to add some params here, we want to make sure we're only getting enabled things. Oops. They're all enabled, but all of, you know, all the model stuff really I don't think needs to get tweaked. It's just the database, the controllers, some refinement. Checkout probably will be the hardest, I think, because there's a lot of form processing. There's validating. There's probably going to be some client-side and server-side validation. There probably should be. You don't really have to, because I've got that error helper set up in there. So if you want to just do server-side validation and just like refresh the page and say, hey, dummy, you need to have a proper or a valid email or something, whatever. But I don't know. I know that they are super duper tight on time, and they're trying to get this done as quickly as possible. But again, I had to get it through my head that it's not our fault for it being slow. They wasted probably a solid week getting us that SQL file with real data. So I mean, we were just sitting there pretty much twiddling our thumbs on this project. So make sure that if they ever send you an email like what the hell, why isn't this done yet, just to not worry about it, because it's not our problem really.
Yeah.
They originally wanted to get this done for the iPhone 5 release, and we told them they were crazy.
Yeah, they're. Oh well, they're just gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
looks like you've got a really good start though, and we're pretty close to finish, so that's exciting.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. In CodeIgniter, I think is great. Hopefully, I can convert you to liking it. The reason I like it so much over Cake is it's so fast. It's so wicked fast. If you ever do some, oh, thank you. If you ever do any browsing of like, you should just look up like PHP framework benchmarks, and oh
Yeah.
man, it's so gross. CodeIgniter just, it's not the fastest. I think there's a couple things that are like slightly faster, but if you compare like Cake PHP versus CodeIgniter, just like bare bones library spooling up. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, well, good. Yeah, I like it so far, and it's kind of helped to get a good tutorial versus just jumping in and being like, "Oh, this sucks," just because I don't understand it.
Yeah, yeah, and if you need help, even after I'm gone, if you need help, I'm always available. I like teaching. It's a huge thing for me. So if you need help on anything, I'm gonna try and put together a quick and dirty README on just helpful links, tutorials, things that I've used, the third party stuff, all of that.
Yeah, that'd be great. And forward me any emails you think might be important that I should know about. You can send them to both Brad and myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna dig around. Maybe it's in our Dropbox for that data model stuff, and then I'm gonna clean up the SQL file today.
Okay. Yeah. Great. And then let me know after you handbrake the video. Hopefully it's not too big, but
Yeah, what are we at? It is 5.2 gigs right now, but I should be able to compress that pretty good because it's in 1650 by 1080. So that's why it's huge.
yeah. Okay, good. Well, I got to run to another training session.
Cool.
But very helpful, Ryan. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Any questions, you just let me know.
Okay. Thanks, man.
See you, Ryan.